Think back when studios cost $2,500 a day. $2,500 a day for a professional 24-track studio. Say you went in and did vocals. Say you only got one vocal done that day for your record. That would be $2,500 to do that vocal. Times 10, $25,000. 10 days to do the vocals. Sometimes longer if your singer sucked and you had to assemble it line by line by line. 25 grand. It's unbelievable. But that was then. This is now. Nowadays, if you want to go and do your vocals in a home studio, it's still going to cost you $30 or $40 an hour to do. What if you could do your vocals at home and it didn't cost you anything? That's what we're going to address in this series, Art of Singing Part 4. Alright you guys, it's your old pal Jizzo here, and we're having a clearance sale on my second and third book, Unhappy Endings and Angst for the Memories. We're now selling these for 25% off right now at jizzypearl.net. So go check them out. I'm slashing the prices. I'm totally nuts. I don't know what I'm doing. 25% off clearance sale at jizzypearl.net. Doom, 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 doom. Now, would you believe that I did all my vocals for my latest record, Hell California, at my own house, and it didn't cost me anything? Go listen to those songs. I just put them up on my channel, JPearl TV. I just put that record up. Check it out and listen to those vocals and tell me if they don't sound killer. Because they do. And I did it in my own house. I think they sound just as good or better than the vocals that I did way back in the day for the $2,500 a day studio. Now, I've spoken at length in previous episodes, and I've told you that you don't need the $5,000 Pro Tools studio to make good music. You don't need the $2,000 Neumann microphone to make good music and to make good vocals. You don't need it. I did my latest vocals for Hell California on Garageband in my house, and they sound great. I know, Garageband, huh? Garageband has sort of taken on this negative connotation lately because, you know, people are obsessed with gear and buying good gear. But you don't need it, man. You don't need it. I recorded all my vocals on GarageBand. All you need is a reasonably priced microphone, a good interface, and a tablet. And that's it. That's it. Get yourself a tablet, Apple, obviously, and you need at least 32 gigs. 64 is better, you know what I mean? Memory, it's faster and stuff like that, but 32 will suffice. Then what you need is an interface. You need something that's going to plug into your tablet and convert your analog signal, whether it be vocals or guitars or whatever, into digital. And I use this thing right here. It's called an iRig. And it cost me about $100, but I looked on Amazon and they're $50 now. So it's pretty cheap and they work really good. Now, microphone. As I said, you don't need the $1,000 microphone. You don't need the $3,000 microphone. You don't need it, man. It's a weird thing that people think that if they buy something more expensive, it's going to make them sound better. It's like these guitar players that buy these vanity guitar amps and say, oh, well, you know, this one sounds just like a Marshall. Well, I'm thinking, well, why don't you just get a Marshall? It's cheaper. No, but this one sounds like a Marshall. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So what I got is I got the Shure SM7. It costs about $400 and it works great. I've actually used it when I used to record vocals in professional studios. The SM7 is killer. It sounds great and it's going to be all that you need. And it has a built-in windscreen so you won't pop your peas. Basically, when you get a recording budget, especially nowadays, most of the money is going to be spent on the actual mixing and the mastering. So you're trying to keep your costs down. But certain things have to be done in a real studio, like drums. So I farmed out my drums to my drummer Chili, who has his own studio, and for a certain amount of money, he's going to give me 10 tracks. Done. And then I farmed out guitars to my guitar player Darren, who in Los Angeles went to a real studio, $40 an hour, but I wanted real guitars, loud guitars. And so he put the rhythm guitars on the drums, and then they made a track that they sent to me as an MP3 file, and that's what I'm going to put in my tablet, and that's what I'm basically going to sing to. And now you're going to want to get Dropbox. You're going to want to get a Dropbox account. Dropbox is when you need to send files to each other via email that are really, really big. Like when they send me the rhythm tracks, it's just an MP3 file. They can just email it to me because it's a very small file. But when I deliver finished vocals, they're going to be WAV files. They're going to be very big files. And so I'm going to have to send them via Dropbox eventually to whoever's going to mix my record. So get yourself a Dropbox account because you're going to need it. So the band has completed the rhythm track, guitars, rhythm guitars, bass, drums, and they've just sent you the song without vocals as an MP3 file. So what you want to do is you want to open up your Garageband and create a new song, basically. And you want to slip this rhythm track into that song file. And I'm not going to go into how you do it. Basically, GarageBand teaches you how to do it. It's a tutorial, or go on YouTube. There's 1,000 dudes that'll tell you how to do this. It's pretty easy. You just slide it in there, and then what you want to do is once you have the rhythm track in there, maybe put it left and right, like 2 tracks, just copy it. So it's nice and huge in your headphones or your earphones or whatever you're going to sing to. And then what you want to do is you want to create a couple of vocal track files open, like 3 or 4 of them. And you want to do them all at one time so you have them basically. And the reason is once you start singing, you might be in the zone and you want to do a quick vocal and then, oh man, I'm in the zone, I want to do it again. You want to have that open file ready so you don't have to sit there and stop and redo it and recalibrate it. It's all going to be there for you, and that's what you want to do. All right, so now it's time and you're going to record your lead vocal. What you want to do is you want to warm up before you actually go in and start recording. Just warm up a little bit. Open your throat up a bit. Don't overdo it, just enough to where your throat is opened up and you're going to get ready to go. Now you want to think of singing your song as a performance. If you wrote the lyrics, then obviously they mean something to you. Imagine that you're going to sing this song in one take, even though maybe you can't. You know, maybe you can get through a verse and a chorus before you run out of air. But you have to think of it as a performance. You have to think that you're performing it live when you're recording. Otherwise, the recording is going to sound sterile. You know what I mean? You want to belt it. You want to belt like you're live. Now, before you actually start putting pen to paper and recording those lead vocals, you have to do a little bit of self-engineering because you're doing it in your house. There's no engineer. Usually engineers will test your vocal mic and they will get the levels correct. So when you're singing, you don't, it doesn't come out distorted, or the level is just enough level for them to work with. So you have no engineer, so you're gonna have to do that on your own. And what you do is, like for example, this iRig has a little circular level dial, and I just do a couple of test runs with it and I get my level correct. I want a hot level. I don't want something that's so little that the engineer won't be able to work with it, but I don't want it so hot that it's going to be distorted and he won't be able to use it at all. So once you dial in your level of the vocal, I take a little piece of tape and I mark it like that. Like, here's my level for guitar, here's my level for vocal. And then when I go back and do vocals multiple times, I don't have to do that. I've already marked my level and it works. Now, my first attempt at singing a lead vocal track is never really a keeper. It's my first time doing it, and I'm finding my way in the song. It's almost like I have to figure out, it's an obstacle course. Where are the high notes? Where do I suck it in? Where do I put more emphasis on lyrics and vocals and stuff like that? So your first take is never really a keeper. But then again, once you get through your first take and you've listened to it, then maybe you want to plug in and do your second take. And then your second take is going to be better because you've figured out your little roadmap of what you want to do. And then your third take is probably going to be better than that one. So by creating these 3 or 4 vocal tracks, you can just go from track to track to track, and you're still in the zone, and you still have that continuity of thought that you are going to be able to deliver that rad lead vocal. Now, I have found that generally your second, third, fourth take are going to be your best takes. I'm not a guy that's going to do 50, 60 takes of a song, because by that time, you're burnt. You're burnt. You're going to get your best mojo out of the first couple. You're going to get your best energy, your best phrasing and stuff like that, and you're not going to be tired. Let's say you've got 3 takes of the song, complete, beginning to end, verse, chorus. You have everything you need. And say your first verse on the first take is really good, and then maybe your second verse on the second take is better. So what you can do via Garageband is you can just cut and paste and move shit around, and you can assemble the perfect lead vocal. This is what they do in Pro Tools anyway. They're just going to find your best stuff, and they're just going to assemble it like a Rubik's Cube. And that's okay. That's what people do. But you can do it by yourself in GarageBand, and so by doing that, you're going to have the best vocal you can. And what if there's a couple of bad notes just every now and then? They can fix it in the Pro Tools. Don't suffer your whole lead vocal if you hit one little wrong note. You want to have a rad lead vocal performance. You want to have the hairs come up on your arms. You want to get that vibe because it's moving you, and it has electricity. And so don't worry about that. If you get through a lead vocal beginning to end and there's one little weird sharp or flat note, the guys in Pro Tools can just adjust it and they can make it right. You're looking at a performance. You want a performance. It doesn't have to be 100% Dream Theater, technically perfect and sterile and generic. You want the vibe. You want the vibe. And this is also one thing you have to do. When you're recording your lead vocal at home on GarageBand, there's a bunch of different reverb and vocal effects and compression effects and stuff that'll make your vocal sound better in playback, but you want to record dry. Don't put any of that shit on your vocal, especially reverb or delay. No compression, because what's going to happen is you want that dry, raw vocal, because then when you deliver it to your engineer, he can put all the bells and whistles on it. Okay, this is the hard part. Be critical. When you actually have finished your lead vocal and you've assembled it a little bit here, a little bit there, but you have continuity of a lead vocal, and it sounds like you sang it in one take, and it's got that killer energy, then you have to be critical. You have to listen to it with fresh ears, maybe go away and for a couple of hours and then come back and listen to it, or come back the next day and listen to it and see where you are. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of recording at home. If you listen to it the day after and you go, you know what, I think I can do it better, then just go in and do it better. You have all the rig set up, just go in and bang it out again, and you'll probably beat what you already have. That's the beauty of doing it at home, because now it didn't cost you $40 an hour to go redo it. You just redid it and it's better. Okay, so you've got your lead vocal and you like it. You've listened to it a couple of times from beginning to end, your verses, your choruses, and it's killer and you dig it. So now what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to double your choruses. So what you want to do is get on another track, create another vocal track, and when you're singing, maybe you want to lower the rhythm track, or maybe you just want to take it out completely and sing to the lead vocal track a cappella with no music. It's easier that way. And doubling is a little tricky at first because you have to exactly match what you did on the previous take. So your choruses, you have to match, obviously, the pitch, but you have to match the melody, the phrasing, the way that it moves. So sometimes it's a little tricky. So if you just lose the rhythm track and sing to it, and then you double it, basically. And so you've got your vocal, your lead vocal, and then you've got your double track. And now you want to go in and do your harmony tracks. And do it the same way. Create another vocal track. What I do is I do vocal harmony tracks left and right. Basically, so your lead vocal is going to sit dead center and your harmony tracks are going to be to the side. And I do left and right. So, and then I double those. So basically my harmony tracks are going to be 2 on the left and 2 on the right for my harmonies. And that's how I do it, because it just, when you sync it into the track, it's just going to make it sound more like a real expensive record. Now, the most important thing is you've got all these tracks. You've got all these vocal tracks. Lead vocal, double, harmony left, harmony right, backgrounds, whatever you decide to do. Now you have to label them appropriately, because you're going to be sending these tracks, we call them stems, to your engineer, whoever's going to mix your record. So you have to properly label everything before you send them. Otherwise, you're going to send him a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and he's not going to be able to figure out where they are and what they are and where to put them. So lead vocal, just say Jizzo song dot lead vocal. So he knows that's the lead vocal. Jizzo double, Jizzo harmony left, Jizzo harmony right. Everything should be labeled appropriately. Over-label them, because then when the engineer gets them and he's got 8 or 10 different vocal tracks for the one song, he's going to be able to lay them out in order and make the song, and it's less work for him, and then he won't hate you. Okay, so you've got all these tracks and they're all labeled Jizzo lead vocal wave, because they're wave files. You have to convert, that's another thing, you have to convert them to wave files, because wave files just are bigger files and they just sound better. So everything's going to be a wave file. On Garageband, you have different levels of MP3s, and it'll be the highest fidelity. So make sure you convert all your vocal stems tracks to wave files. So, you know, Jizzo lead vocal wave, Jizzo double wave, Jizzo background left and right. And then you can add them all to your Dropbox account, and they'll all have little names, and then your engineer will be able to grab them. And it's really important too. You know, studios will try and sell you on all the gear that they have and what they have. Oh, I've got these Neve mic pre's. Oh, I've got this machine that makes it sound just like a 24-track recorder and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, if you give them the raw vocal, and it's good, it's got to be good, they can take it and put it into all the Pro Tools plugins. There's a million of them that can make them sound just like you recorded it in a 1973 Studio Master, you know, that Queen recorded Bohemian Rhapsody on. You know, all that shit is available. Everybody can have those plugins, but you have to have the soul to deliver the rad lead vocal. So don't worry about doing it in an expensive studio. Just make sure that you've got the best lead vocal you have, and then you add them all to your Dropbox. Or there's another thing called WeTransfer.com, which does exactly the same thing. You load up all your tracks, and then they compress them and send them to whoever's going to mix your record. Now, the reason that I did this in the first place was twofold. I wanted to do my own vocals, and I didn't want to be on the clock. I wanted to do my own lead vocals when I felt like it, and when I felt like I was in the zone, and I wanted to be able to have the luxury of listening and going back and listening and going back and fixing and getting the best lead vocals. And I keep saying that, but just go listen to my record, Hell California. You listen to those vocals, they sound just as good as anything I did in the expensive studios. It's true. So I stand behind those vocals for sure. And I wanted to spend most of my recording budget on the mixing and the mastering. That's where your real money is going to go, because mixing a record takes time. That's where the $40 an hour starts to add up, where it takes $300, $500, $1,000 to mix a song. And it adds up. At 10 songs, 10,000. You know what I mean? And then you want to master. And that's another $1,000 or $1,800. But you have to do it, because those steps, they're going to make your song sound more professional. So you can't scrimp on the mixing and the mastering. You have to do that for real. But you can do your vocals at home and you can save a lot of money and they sound just as good. So why not do that? You just have to make sure that your vocal has attitude. You know what I mean? It has to move people. It can move people. Real vocals, when they're done well, move people. When I hear the scream at the end of The Who's Won't Get Fooled Again from Roger Daltrey, the hair still comes up on my arms. It's $1 million scream, you know? So it can be done. You can do it. You just have to be critical of your own vocals and really self-analyze. Focus on what you know. Focus on what really means something to you now. Not what you think Sammy Hagar did 30 or 40 years ago. It's just, be real. When you're writing lyrics, be real. Write about your relationship. Write about the drama that's going on. Write about political events. Write about global warming. Whatever moves you, write about it. Don't go cliche. Don't write about fast cars and chicks and just be real. Be real. Brian Johnson has his system of how he records vocals. Elton John has his system. Sammy Hagar has his system. Steven Tyler has his system. All the professional singers have a system of how they do vocals and how they write, what they write about, and the mechanics of how they do it. Just like me. I've been doing it for years, and I'm just trying to impart a little bit of my Gandalf the Grey wisdom, and to try and help out people that are starting out or maybe, are a little nervous about doing it at home and maybe if I spend this money, it'll make it sound better. Or maybe you just have, the confidence to go do it yourself. Sometimes that works and you'll save a lot of money and maybe you'll get a better product. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's all for now. It's your old pal Jizzo, rockin' and rollin', and we'll see you next time.